Arthur Dong is a professor at Georgetown University's McDonough School of Business. I asked him about the Trump administration's mixed messages on a possible trade deal between the U.S. and China.
Yeah, certainly contradictory messages emanating from the White House. On the one hand, today we heard from Larry Kudlow, who suggested that there might be some dialogue and breakthroughs coming forward, and President Trump saying just the other day that he was going to double down on the tariffs and increase to 20% or 25% come January 1st. I think with the G20, all eyes will be focused on the President of the United States as well as President Xi Jinping, and the markets certainly will be looking for any signals of any sort of positive dialogue, as well as looking at the sort of body language as well as the sentiments being shared by both presidents.
Vice Premier Liu He saying again today that no one wins a trade war. And this talk about the global economy being impacted. These are the two largest economies. How long can this kind of tit for tat go on before it doesn't have some sort of ripple effect?
I think the ripple effect is certainly going to be very tremendous, and we're starting to see that now. Markets are very, very rattled. As a result, we've seen a downdraft with regard to the U.S. Financial markets. And so the world is waiting with bated breath in terms of they'd like to see some settlement and some resolve with regard to potential global trade, war.
What about a prediction for Saturday? Any sense?
My prediction is that not to expect any major breakthroughs. I think this is a very, very challenging topic, and I would not expect that any major breakthroughs are going to come through.
So this could rattle on into 2019?
I believe it will.
Let me ask you about China and Argentina and their relationship, and also the One Belt, One Road. We've seen Chile and Uruguay go in that direction. Do you think Argentina will as well?
Absolutely. I think already Latin America happens to be the second largest destination for foreign outward direct investment on behalf of Chinese entities and the Chinese government. Latin American countries, including Brazil, Argentina, Peru, and Chile. China has displaced the United States as their #1 trade partner. So we already see some momentum shifting, and China shifting towards Latin America as well.
And you say China has displaced the United States. We heard Vice President Mike Pence kind of his nose out of joint about this sort of thing. Does this just speak to the fact that they're upset that this is happening in their own backyard, or do they really even have a strategy when it comes to the region?
In my feeling, it's not a strategy at all. With regard to the United States, what they've placed at the top of their agenda has been the victimization of the United States. In other words, focus on immigration and focus on sort of the drug trade. Whereas China is not really looking at those two things, finding areas where there's commonality between Latin American countries and finding ways to build bridges rather than accusing these nations of victimizing the United States.
Talk to me about the relationship. They're going to sign some agreements, Xi and Macri. Where does it go from here? I mean, they've got a nice threshold right now. How much can be built on this?
I think they're already well down the path of greater economic cooperation and bilateral trade. China has earmarked $200 billion of additional trade for Latin American countries. Argentina is in a really sweet spot right now because there are a number of things that are going well for their economy. The Vaca Muerta, a 100-year reserve of energy that's is just starting to get exploited, which China would like to take part of, and all the agricultural commodities that Argentina is very well known for, including proteins, some of the world's finest beef, all of which can be exported to China.
He'll be going to Panama as well, but are there hiccups? I mean, with Jair Bolsonaro winning, and he's kind of wants to tilt towards the U.S., are there hiccups for China in the region?
Yeah, there are hiccups because there is going to be greater sort of challenges with regard to if China lends and continues this sort of lending program to Latin America, do strings come attached?
All right. Arthur, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming in.
My pleasure, Mike.